My name is Nevin. I use they them pronouns. I'm the host here, or one of the hosts here at Massy. Nice to meet all of you. Seeing some familiar faces, some new faces. It's amazing, exciting to see. So yeah, I am going to do a bit of a welcome to the space for those of you that aren't familiar with us. And then we'll hand it off to Mitcholos, our host. Does that sound good? Is there any? Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I feel like some of you have heard this spiel a lot, which is cool. You'll hear it again, and it changes a little bit every time. But I'll start with introducing myself tonight, especially because it feels pretty intimate this evening. So yeah, like I said, my name is Nevin. I am, on my father's side, I am Croatian and like mixed Balkan. That's a whole kettle of fish. And then I'm also Irish, English, French, and Métis, which is another kettle of fish. So I'm full of fish. I am a kettle. Yeah, that is who I am. I'm first and foremost a settler on this land, and I think it's important, I think, when welcoming folks to the space to really acknowledge that that's who I am. We are in an Indigenous owned and led space here at Massy Arts, and we are really aiming towards giving space to our community members, Indigenous and otherwise over-excluded artists, creatives, folks in our area, and hoping to do that together. And so it's my job as host really to help set the tone for that and help you folks create a space of care and safety for each other. And so yeah, let me know how I can do that. But I'm remiss to talk about space without talking about the land that we're on. So I do want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded, ancestral, stolen, and occupied territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. We are in Kemkamilai tonight. Kemkamilai roughly translates to, from my understanding in the Squamish language, place of many maple trees. I think there are several other translations of that, but that's the best that I know. And I don't have the authority to speak on that further, but we are in an ancestral maple harvesting village. And I think it's really important to set ourselves into that space as well as we talk about where we are. You can see evidence of that in the way people gather here. And the big lake maples that you can see around the neighborhood. I particularly like to pay attention to the wooden bricks that are underneath all the pavement. If you see a pothole, evidence of all the old growth trees that were here very short period of time ago. And hopefully we'll be here again in some time. And so, yeah. Thank you. And so yeah, that is where we are. We're also in Chinatown and what's colloquially known as the downtown east side. And I feel like many of you are neighbors here tonight, and I want to introduce the space specifically in this building as the Ming Wo building. Did anyone here ever shop at Ming Wo? One person. Really? Two people. Cool. So this was a cookware store and a hardware store for about 100 years. And it was a whole building, which is pretty fantastic. Ming Wo is still a thriving business in two other parts of the city, on 4th and also on Granville. But yeah, this, like, quite literally, like, lots of generations of folks access this place as like the dollar store and the kitchen store and the hardware store originally. So there are like hammers and nails coming through this place. Quite important building to Chinatown, and happy to be here in this capacity tonight. When I talk about space a little bit more, I want to talk about the limitations of our old building. So unfortunately, we are not able to do a push button door with our wiring. So if anyone needs any assistance accessing the restroom tonight, hopefully folks will help each other out, but also don't hesitate to ask myself, so Nevin, Faune, or Jody, my coworkers. They're both new tonight, so I feel like maybe a little round of applause for our new coworkers. And yeah, with that, we also have a handrail next to the toilet and space for any standardized mobility device. So again, if there's any ways that we can improve your access that we haven't thought of, please don't hesitate to tell me, or write a comment card, or send us an email. Events at Massy Arts, happy to address that for you and make the space as comfortable as possible. Lastly, as part of my Massy Arts training, I'm naloxone or Narcan trained and certified. We have 2 kits on site, neither of them are expired. And so if anyone needs access to Narcan tonight, or if you witness anyone who needs Narcan and I'm the earliest access point for you, please don't hesitate to come back or ask me. It's right behind the desk. It's always available when we are here and open. So yeah, know that that is here for you, and happy to provide that in whatever way I can. With that, I think I'd like to get our event started tonight. So I'd like to introduce our host, Mitcholos. Mitcholos also is named, please forgive my Mitcholos pronunciation, Fatunaki Tlamakti, right? Is it I or E? Tlamakti. Yes?
Yeah.
Cool, great. Awesome, thank you for teaching me that, Mitcholos, as well. So that name means unmindful names. And their peoples are Uqulit and the Chalna, treated or untreated under the Monmouth Treaty of 2011. Cool. So in 2021, Mitcholos wrote a poem for the short film Johnny Crow, directed by Christine Cook and illustrated by Jesse Touchie. The film is still circulating at film festivals, receiving awards, and is available to stream on CBC Gem, so go check Mitcholos out there. For more Mitcholos' poetry, their YouTube channel is under the username @Mitcholos, which I love. And also, Mitcholos is a trans Chifwa. I'm really going to work on that L sound, Chifwa, non-binary, and uses they, them, theirs pronouns. They are a poet. Please welcome Mitcholos.
Plateau, the introduction, and the warm-up. Yeah, I'm excited to be introducing to you who will be our dual readers, two poets, Rabbit Richards and BeWyrd. First up, I'm going to introduce to you BeWyrd. BeWyrd is a slam poet based in Tiohtià:ke. You have to forgive my pronunciation as well. And this next one as well, also known as Montreal. I'm going to try the French Montreal. In 2023, he won the Quebec Writers Federation Ian Faria Spoken Word Award. Did I get Faria right?
Very.
Oh my god. Very. He has performed slam poetry across Canada and represented the Throw Poetry Collective in the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word in 2012 and 2013. He provides workshops about poetry and performance to learners of all ages in English and French. Since 2018, he has been the president of Throw Poetry Collective, which showcases competitive yet friendly bilingual poetry slams once a month. You can find him on X, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And poetry can be found on his website at BeWyrd.ca. Weird is spelled W-Y-R-D. Please welcome BeWyrd.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. With your permission, I would like to take off my mask for the performance. Is that okay?
Yeah, no
Is that cool? Thank you so much. I have some poems prepared for you. And I'm very happy that this is happening. It's been a long time since I've seen Rabbit. And Rabbit meant a lot for the Throw Poetry Collective in Montreal, also known as Tiohtià:ke. My name is Michael Clark, and I go by BeWyrd. And I come from Montreal, Tiohtià:ke, and I love poetry. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on. I'll start with a little mantra for those with imposter syndrome. I'll show you what I worked on in Argentina, I just got back from, and then I'll show you some of my older stuff. Before I begin, who here has ever had imposter syndrome? Well, first off, don't worry. You're good enough to have imposter syndrome. You're all good enough to get imposter syndrome. And when it strikes, just repeat this mantra to yourself. I did fine. And if I didn't, it's all in my head. And if it's not, then no one noticed. And if someone did notice, it's probably not that bad. And if it is that bad, sort of a disaster, people are gonna forget, and eventually, I'm sure, it's gonna go away. And if they don't forget, maybe they're just carrying a grudge. And if they're not carrying a grudge, it's like unanimous opinion, I'm infamous. Okay, that makes me feel more at ease. All of these poems come from an album I'm working on called Your Song Is Not a Solo. Your song is not a solo. Every day, your voice escapes the cage that is your body. Bone bars buoy up a basket of air. Walls of sponge square up to keep you safe from within yourself. A state of forced self-love. Embrace and caress. Do whatever it takes to bless your mind with kindness. Your heart, you can take it apart. Word by word, beat by beat. Your breath now is a reward, because some days it's spit between gritted teeth. And you once could only breathe through your mother's womb, through your mother's blood, until an umbilical ripcord melody, an aggressive aria announcing, I am here and now, from one breath to the next. Your song is not a solo. Where is your breath when you speak? Is it in your nose, your mouth, your throat, your chest, your belly, your back? And where are your dreams? Do they flip between your ears like bouncing lights, mysterious beams? Do they make you aspire to a higher state of being? Or do they stare hard into the future with the clever eyes of a child you've chided, asking you, if not now, then when? What will hope cost you today? So I ask you again, where is your breath? And how does it hide from you? Before you even breathed in, your song had already begun. Your song is not a solo. So let it breathe. Your voice matters. Let that register. Let that sink in. And this is not a poem until you hear me say it. Blossom, nectar, expire. Until it sinks into your heart like a seed into soil, like a ship into the ocean. Let it fill the void that was never there in the first place. Your song is not a solo. The 52 Blue was born with a voice just like you. Except it was so low, you would never get to hear it. A blue whale so massive its buoyant body could sail in deep currents where its voice travels the furthest, using the so far channel, where sound is at its slowest. So it travels about as far as sound will go, trapped in this eternal elliptical spiral. It's a deep sound that resonates with the ocean. But the 52 Blue was born with a voice too high-pitched to be heard by its kin. White noise to their ears. The tiny folds in the skin not equipped to transmit the far-off vibrations, those thoughts that cycle at 52 hertz. 52 events in every intonation. But I heard some whispers of another blue whale who shares the same affliction. And I wonder what tales they might tell if one day a familiar tone of voice might drift into those tiny holes, tuned to tiny waves within waves of a certain cycle of sound. A signal in the static. A whisper in the dark. Your song is not a solo, but it might echo, lonely, like the moan from a loon homesick for the wet, warm embrace of a lake less stony, break bony, flipper thrash and swimmer's edge. But hey, remember that place just off coast near Coney Island where the rocks live more low than highland? And who could forget the dirty coin glow of that Ferris wheel, rusting and towing us loners, droning on, dozing off alone together. Didn't you bribe a guy for his stolen ticket? You told me, fuck it, let it ride. Only here does the rust bucket grind the guardrails so slow, it shudders out that lonesome echo of its skeleton being slowly broken. A drone so low and close to home, you know it first in your own bones, like bad weather, or a harbinger of old age and stony lakes. How'd you fall in love with this lonely face? How did you fall in love with this lonely face? Let's drink away the night in tiny giggles. Let's wait until after the loons glide back across the lake and leave the moon in ripples. Your song is not a solo. You waved over your shoulder a Canadian goodbye, saying, sorry, as you left me, for something you couldn't tell me about. I guess some feelings just don't bubble up past the throat into words. The epiglottis holds the breath down. The larynx braces for impact. The voice gets caught in the throat, like a doe in a dragon's maw, before it can even whimper, swallowed, before it can whisper the truth. Your song is not a solo. At war with myself, my family did not grasp why I had dug so many trenches into myself. I was deep into the no man's land that was growing inside me. I found my mission. But my mom asked me to come home. I am home, I told her. Where are you? She asks me. She asks me, where are you? And all around me, remains of who I could have been. Your song is not a solo. That's it for that. Some say gender is a spectrum, but I see it as a schism. All the things that make me a man were just survival mechanisms. School was like a prison. I was ruled by fools cool with cynicism, so miss me with your misgivings. Dragged down the corridor to settle old scores behind closed doors. Shoved into a locker like a ship. I was thin. I could hide in the dim. But I could never tell a foe from a friend. My old sensei Willie would always say to me, your best defense in a feud was to keep your distance. You got no chance to react when someone gets too close to you. As a matter of fact, I thought karate would harden my masculinity. Anger would coil my fingertips into fists like electricity. My father's curse. A hot coal thrown by these burnt palms. And what's worse, white-hot eyes that squeezed out tenderness. A temperament of tempered steel, reeling in my indignant righteousness. When I bullied the bully who would poison my teammates against me for spreading hateful lies about my size, I became a man. When I won a fight by laughing in surprise to a sucker punch to the gut, I became a man. I learned how to man up, or how to stifle how I felt, because those feelings made me vulnerable. If being baited into an outburst makes you trivial to ridicule, wouldn't you trap your feelings like lightning in a bottle? But one day you'll awake mid-break after going full throttle. Lost control of the vehicle of your hopes and dreams, you cope and seethe, you see male role models succeed because of their toxic masculinity. That same entitled anger that nearly broke my brother. When I was a kid and I was bored, I would goad him into going overboard. I explored how to explode the anger he had stored. How I made him suffer. How we hurt each other in the ways men believe it will make them tougher. And it's like diffusing a bomb trying to tell you this. Confronting the mold in the fridge after a long Christmas trip. But the softer side of me knows it takes strength to be weak, to speak on it, to grieve the loss of innocence. I never wanted to be an old soul as a young child. I never wanted my gender expression to be a survival mechanism. Thank you. This next poem is called How to Be. First, love yourself. Of all the people who deserve your love, it's you. There's so much depth to your experience. There's so much potential loving kindness in every moment. And there's no turning back now, so why not accept yourself? No one else has kept a better ledger. And don't worry about what comes after. You will exist for as long as you are remembered. Second, love others. Love is the cup that spilleth over. It is the fountain of youth. So don't guard it with jealousy, because no one keeps their youth. People will come. They will go. Let them in, or let them go. Time is just the space we move through. And this too shall pass. I've learned from those wiser than I that hurt people hurt people. Just so, true people, true people. Goodness and love proliferate when acceptance is abundant. Peace exists when hearts feel free to be honest. But honesty isn't free. It requires accountability, our daily bread. I am who I say I am. You are who you say you are to me. A prism of light is colored by its many facets. We weird the universe when we commit to one another. When we accept the good and the bad, the scars, the warts, Mars from Venus, and all the cosmos in between. When we accept that love can be divine. It's messy, it's kind of frustrating, a little chaotic, but divine. And it's not yours until I've had my part. Like when that single seed of kindness sprouted above the marshes of my embattled heart. When you believe in yourself, it's courageous. When you believe in others, it's community. But first you must love yourself. The last poem is one that I wrote that was inspired by the title of today, Poems to Keep You Unsafe. So here are some words to keep you unsafe. A knife in its sheath, a bit tongue, a guarded glance, a bell unrung, grin-bearing teeth, a bow well strung, a sudden dance, a trap unsprung. All of these keep you safe from harm until the moment comes when the knife is drawn, or the tongue is loosed, or the glare turns the screws and the bell rings strong. Have you ever noticed how some smiles hunger? How certain handshakes linger? How some gifts run afoul? And not everyone knows why they do what they do, while others will weave you into their webs. And some lies grow out of a buried truth, like a flower with its roots in the dregs. It's wild out there. And it's getting late. So here are some words to keep you unsafe. A knife in its sheath, a bit tongue, a guarded glance, a bell unrung, grin-bearing teeth, a bow well strung, a sudden dance, a trap unsprung. Thank you so much for your time.
Great. Welcome back to Poems to Keep You Unsafe. This is the dual reading. We've had one poet. We have one poet on deck. Rabbit Richards. I will read out their bio for you. Rabbit Richards is learning how to exist on stolen land in a marginalized body. Relentlessly compassionate with fierce integrity, Rabbit is passionate about anti-oppression and accessibility work, and is deeply invested in the conversations that are provoked by their art. Currently, they serve as systems change coordinator at Pace Society here in Kimberley, commonly known as the downtown eastside of Vancouver BC, where they focus on harm reduction within community care. And to wrap up a show brought to you by the Government of Canada, welcome.
Dang. Stay. My story is only an immigrant story when listened to by natural-born citizens of a land whose borders are both artificial and of a foreigner's design. My story is only a black story to half of my family, I do not feel queer. And what is this shared reality, this accessible truth, these human stories, this distilled liquor, whittled by the 1,000 tiny daggers of city life, I am become my core right to the edges. History doesn't happen by accident. We were taught to fear the silence, the absence, the dark. Taught to fight against the inevitable, to seek our likenesses in other people's mirrors. And here is my story, leaning against your front stoop, honest and tired, shivering. About this gentrification shit. This everything tastes better wrapped in recycled butcher paper shit. This we don't give a fuck about you until we want to fuck you shit. I will never know where my people are from. Not even where the people who stole my people are from. Half my family are Jews, the kind of Jews who think their home is on top of someone else's home, but about this reconciliation shit. This, I want to be exotic just like you shit. Your shit smells like shit, but we can afford to have our shit carted away shit. It's on the other side of the page. I will never know the feel of land between my fingers that remembers the work of the hands of my ancestors. The only things left are the leavings of oppressors and my mixed blood inclined to disremember for convenience's sake. And about this gentrification shit. This, why do you have to use swear words in your hip hop shit? Don't complain, we made it better shit. It's a curious illusion, like I'm real, like I have a body of my own, like I own my flesh, like anyone ever could. Like land can actually have owners and holders, like anyone could hold me. And you touch me like warm dripping oil, like butterfly kiss. And I watch you like white sails on the horizon, like ghosts held in common. Like it's just a scout ship, and I love to hear stories of boats. Hey, thanks for coming. I'm gonna go back and forth through time a little bit because BeWyrd and I knew each other like 10 years ago, and I have really, really old poems, and I wanted to see some old friends. So. Has anyone ever read the poet Rumi? Yeah? Okay, if you know, you know. Coleman Barks said, Rumi said, he would meet me out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. I want to see that place in the smooth between your brows where worry and fear have echoed each other for decades, etching crevices. Be proud of me, Mommy. I'm 32 years old and I haven't killed myself yet. I don't know who I'm going to be next year, but I hate that I keep making that choice based on your frigid telephone silence, vibrating disappointment, disapproval. I know you don't like it, Mother. I haven't forgotten. But I can't untattoo my skin, or unlove a man, or undrink a beer. I can't unkick an ass, or unsex a stranger, or unmove to another country. I am becoming. Like some post-adolescent nightmare, my bones are still knitting. I'm ready. I've boiled the water. Just haven't decided what kind of tea to make. You were my hero, my exemplar, my home base, and my starting pistol. You gave me the first lens through which my newborn eyes would see the world, but I need glasses now. Other people have been here, have pointed out what I couldn't see because your prism became my paradigm. Be proud of me, Mommy. I can see more things now. I know how to hang a painting and how to save a life, and my rice is fluffy and my biscuits are consistent. I am as domestically sound as ever you hoped. Martha Stewart and Doc Martens. The broken homes and broken bones are just collateral damage, practical magic for a statistically improbable future, but you can't hate my life and still love me. You can't separate me from my sins. You'll have disgust for at least one of us. I know your love will always be conditional. Conditions have changed. Be proud of me, Mommy. I'm not leaving you forever. I'm just growing up. Lawrence said He never saw a wild thing sorry for itself. I wanted to be that for you. I would have fallen frozen dead from a bough to be your little bird. Be proud of me, Mommy. I can take care of myself. I am alone and broken and weak and scared, and sometimes I tell people I've eaten when I haven't because they know you, and if you knew, you'd worry. But poverty is slow death. That's too much time for soullessness. Whatever I choose to become has nothing on what life will make of me, but anger at the knife never helped heal the cut, and butchery too is a skill. When I am old, I want to believe I am the person you hoped to befriend when you were 11, playing with dolls and wondering who your daughter would be. 2013 was a wild year. Okay, so it's still 2013, and I'm living alone in a really cute apartment, but it's too far from downtown. And the reason I'm giving you all of this weird backstory is because what I'm trying not to say is, I'm gonna fix that. Here's the thing. It's a difficult poem. I wrote it a long time ago. I also have a poem that makes it safer, that I wrote more recently, and I want to make them kiss. So that's what we're doing. First we're gonna read that one, and then we're gonna read the other. That's what's happening. Okay, that's what this is. So, it's 2013, I live too far from downtown, I work in hotels, which means that I mostly have uniforms. Oh, the old ones come and find you, and then they like make you shake. It's a lot. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm here now. We survived. Let's jump. It's proof. Every time you worry that the poem is terrible, I'm right here. I was walking down St. Catherine Street, early to work on purpose. I need a moment with my barista. Sometimes she comes to my shows. But a new hole-in-the-wall hipster joint opened up, sign saying free coffee today. I smiled, as poets are poor. But the dude inside said he owned the place, and artists are always the ones willing to pay for art, so I tipped him the price of my coffee, and I walked out happy. 2 doors down, a new sign stopped me. J. Albanese, barber, just moved. I had forgotten. Coffee stained my starched white shirt. I didn't feel the burn. That's what I always told my mom when she asked about the scars. I didn't feel the burn. I don't know how it happened. I guess I wasn't paying attention. J. Albanese, barber. I had forgotten. He used to have a shop between St. Mark and St. Matthew. I never knew his name, but I know the temperature of his breath. I don't know how it happened. I guess I wasn't paying attention. When people ask about sexual assault, I tell them the stats are 1 in 3, so if it's not them and it's not their sister, then it's probably me. But when my sister asked, I couldn't be so flippant. The message was the same. I said, the stats are 1 in 3, but you know how manipulable numbers are. You can make them say anything. The 1 in 3 could be 1 in 9 if it happens to her 3 times. I had forgotten. To keep my head down and my eyes on the ground, I couldn't wear that dress for a month. It was my favorite coat, but I let the buttons fall off. Wasn't wearing earphones. I heard every word he said. When his fingers twisted my wrist, I didn't feel the burn. I don't know how it happened. I wanted to run out from behind the Faubourg Sainte-Catherine. I don't know how, but I forgot. I was walking down St. Catherine Street, early to work on purpose. I don't know how I had forgotten. I guess I didn't feel the burn. I know, right? I learned how to write better after that, but it's still important. It's still important. So, okay, I moved to Vancouver 2017, and I'm living at 118 Main, that little fourplex that like faces into the alley at Main and Alexander. And I was walking through Crab Park for like, I don't know, a year, licking my wounds and being mad at boys and staring into the ocean. And this poem is named Auguise, which is a rune. So that's kind of pretentious and poety of me, but I know what it means. The mantra is, I'm safe. Doesn't matter if it's true. You have to say it out loud or it won't work, but no one has to hear you. The mantra is, I'm safe. Drown out the sound of everyone who told you not to be out here, this late, alone. Pop out one earbud, the further one from him if you can. Hide it in your hair if you can. The mantra is, I'm safe. Sometimes you want to say, I'm okay. I'm okay is not the mantra. I'm okay doesn't feel better, doesn't help you remember. I'm safe is a prayer. I'm safe is an acknowledgement of all the times I wasn't, even now when I'm not. I'm safe is how we open our throats and show no fear. Bare our teeth and show no fear. The mantra is, I'm safe. Sometimes you want to say, I'm safe now. This is an agreeable development, but the mantra does not need embellishment. I'm safe now is not the mantra. I'm safe now doesn't feel better, forces you to remember. I'm safe is a promise. I'm safe is an acknowledgement of all the times I wasn't, even now when I'm not. I'm safe is how we open our throats and show no fear, bare our teeth and show no fear. The Indian spiritual leader Sri Satya Baba said, a pure thought from a pure heart is better than a mantra. The mantra is, I'm safe. It is almost never true. I have to say it out loud or it won't work, but no one has to hear me say it. I'm safe is how I open my throat and show no fear, bare my teeth and show no fear. Word is important. Okay, so before I was in Montreal, I was in New York. And people ask me all the time why I would live in New York, and then I was like, haha, I'm writing a poem about it. Which is a problem, because now when people actually ask me the question, I'm like, no, I have a poem about it, and then I won't share it, because that's weird. kind of did not work out the way I was intending. But anyway. When they ask me why I would ever leave New York City, I just say my family is there. I say most of my friends have queer hair. I say I was always planning to go back. I even promised I'd come back. What I mean is, if I could have stayed, I surely would. I miss the Atlantic. Eloping is the last way to run away from home. When there is no more air, you have to decide if you're willing to fight to survive. If you lack the strength to fight, it's a war of attrition. I am a whole person now. My mother's cooking is delicious, but when I turned up with a foreigner for a husband, she put too much salt in the spanakopita. It tasted like tears. She gifted me pearls. They looked like tears. I am a whole person now. When there is no more water, you have to reevaluate your priorities. Even dangerous love will fill the hole. When they ask me why I would ever leave New York City, what they mean is if they could leave Vancouver, they surely would, but they'd miss the Pacific. When there is no more sunlight, you have to choose a new fuel for growth. Which damage is collateral depends on which damage you intended to cause. I need to be a whole person now. My cooking is delicious, but even I haven't tasted it all yet. What they mean is they want to be a whole person. They see I am a whole person. When they ask me why I would ever leave New York City, I say I'm still planning to go back. I'd love to go back. But you know, I have queer hair, and my family is there. I don't want water, so I don't know, 4 seconds. It won't be 4 seconds. I don't do anything that fast. I mean, I probably could, but I'd choke, and that would be bad. I'm not allowed to talk and eat rice at the same time. I'm so serious. The little grain will go back backwards up my nose. It's a bad time. Like, I have to focus. I can only do one thing. The autism likes one thing at a time. It's just what it is. This might be the last poem I ever write. Partly because I could die in these socks tonight, which might be sad, which might be convenient, which might be fine. On so many rainy nights, I should have worn more comfortable shoes. Regret is the squeaky tingling in my Duramater. Regret is a DeLorean with a broken flux capacitor. I'm gonna try that again. This might be the last poem I ever perform. Partly because I'm allergic to hazelnuts. Partly because I have a weakness for people who know my weaknesses. To the lighters that just won't light on windy nights. To the drinks that taste good but are only 4%. To love that knows it is only a stopgap measure. And to the glorious moment of desperate peace when the suicidal thoughts pass. I too have been someone's coping mechanism. And sometimes I too fail. I have been the tear in someone's eye, beautiful, useless, walking evidence of opportunistic irreverence. If this is the last poem, if these are the only words, let them be not my fault. Let me be buried in holy socks. Place a plastic rock on my gravestone in a year. Light a half-burned tea light with 4 flicks of a dead lighter. Eat Nutella straight out of the jar. And tip out an ounce for the kids who smoked oregano and thought that they were high. And I said, yes. So they said, they were typing where people could see them, so they said hummus, but we know that's not what they meant. They also used the word Terry roast, which I'm guessing is TikTok speech, but now I learned a new thing, even though I'm ancient, so that's cool. So they said Hamas is a revolutionary group, and we should be mindful of whom we deem as Terry roasts, based on power and privilege and oppression. Also, the south of Lebanon is still and has been occupied for years. Even when Israel left in 2000, they never left the Golan area. Then I asked, oh no, I'm not done. Then I asked my displaced Palestinian friend, who has been like working in nonprofits down here for longer than I have. And I was like, yo, what do I do? What do I say? What do you need? And they said, Sumud. We must be steadfast because despair and defeat are not an option. The genocidal persecution of Palestinians will not stop in Gaza. Everyone's turn is coming unless we take matters into our own hands and out-organize the enemies profiting from our collective subjugation. In the words of June Jordan, how many of my brothers and my sisters will they kill before I teach myself retaliation? Solidarity is our lifeline, and glory to the resistance. Now, one more for you. This one is a friend who is born in Palestine, an Arab Jew who gave up their right of return until Palestinians can come home. And they said, thank you for checking, nothing specific, but if you're up for saying it, recommend that people look up a family listed on Operation Olive Branch and either donate or promote the crowdfunding campaigns. Get involved, join a local movement for liberation, and resist the mainstream media and pro-Israel Zionist discourse.
Operation Olive
Branch.
Branch.
Operation Olive Branch. Yeah, and I feel really good about that because it's not my fight, and I'm not here to tell anybody how to fight for their liberation. I got my own to work out. Poems. Just one, it's fine, it's chill. 2 if you really want it, but 1. I want to write about what it would look like now if we had never invented the concept of rent. I want to sit and think about how regeneration actually works. And I want my friends to get to write about something other than liberation, like what if we were just actually free? Half the folks around me are unreliable. The ones that aren't are already carrying too much. And I just want to write a poem about mushrooms. But I'm exhausted by my depression, by my anxiety, by everyone's depression, by everyone's anxiety. And science says Black women exaggerate their pain. And to be fair, it's hard to believe us when we say we get tired and we keep saving your behind, making $1.05 out of 99, confronting the people you're too scared to talk to, editing your text messages, editing your poem, editing the aggressive out of our tone, the discouragement out of our bones, educating your men, intervening between you and the people you consider friends, keeping the lights on, the creditors away, food in the fridge, and the secrets of an entire community in the hollows under our sleepless eyes. And I just want to write a poem about life coming from death and regeneration cycles. Like, what will we do with the concrete skeletons of prison installations? And what will we grow when we don't have to grow soy to survive? But I'm exhausted by my depression, by my anxiety, by everyone's depression, by everyone's anxiety. And science says Black women don't need medication because they can just take more. And I know it's hard to believe me when I say I have anxiety, that I feel like I'm dying so slowly all of the time. Like a small animal is trying to chew its way out of my belly when you talk to me. My spine is retracting like a closing telescope when you talk directly in my eyes. And I am only a human, endoskeletal, easily perforated, dependent on the narrowest homeostasis to survive, and you are all made of chomping teeth and nipple blades, and I can't tell anyone. Of course it's hard to believe me with my face placid, and my shoulders relaxed, my stimming fingers hidden in my coat pocket, and my eyes soft. Soft like my grandmother's eyes in the pastor's kirkyard. Soft like my mother rarely is. Like if we're hard enough, they'll beat us till we're soft like leather, a thing that was once alive, once growing, once part of the cycle of life and death and regeneration and mushrooms, soft like survival. So you never see me hard. Never know it's hard. Never understand how hard it is to hold everyone's depression, everyone's anxiety, everyone's exhaustion. And I can't tell anyone. So I research mycelium, and I think about regeneration cycles, and I stay soft.